As resilient as a human body can be, it's no secret that it eventually starts slowing down. For most people, this starts to become noticeable in their late 30s and early 40s, as is evident by the fact that the vast majority of professional athletes retire before they're even 35 years old. Unfortunately, this has led to many people believing that building muscle and strength past this age is basically impossible. Of course, this begs the question, is working out past the age of 40 really just to delay the inevitable? The process of aging is known as senescence, a term that describes a gradual deterioration or functional characteristics in the body. In other words, aging is essentially the result of normal functions of our bodies slowly breaking down. Although not completely understood, this is thought to be mainly the result of malfunctions in the DNA and cellular processes. Now, when it comes to muscle mass specifically, sarcopenia is the term used to describe the loss of muscle associated with this aging process. To understand what causes sarcopenia though, I'm gonna give you a quick refresher on how muscle growth works. As you may already know, muscle cells are continuously built and broken down throughout the day through the two processes of muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown. This means that in order to build muscle, the rate of the muscle protein synthesis has to be higher than that of the muscle protein breakdown. Now, muscle protein synthesis is influenced by two main factors: nutrition and physical activity. Now, physical activity acts as a stimulus for protein synthesis, while calories and protein provide the resources to make it happen. As you age, this balance between protein synthesis and breakdown starts to become lopsided. So muscle protein synthesis starts to decrease as your cells build what is referred to as anabolic resistance, which basically just means they become less sensitive to growth signals and aren't able to use amino acids as efficiently to build muscle anymore. At the same time, insulin, which typically is responsible for preserving muscle mass, starts to have less of an effect on cells, resulting in the rate of protein breakdown increasing. Essentially, the normal processes of aging result in your cells becoming less sensitive to the things that cause muscle growth and the things that prevent muscle loss. So furthermore, age-related muscle loss also has to do with the nervous system, as it is well documented that muscles start to lose motor neurons with age. Since each motor neuron controls a large number of muscle fibers, the loss of the neuron results in those fibers essentially becoming useless, resulting in their eventual breakdown and complete loss. Fortunately though, it appears that when one motor neuron is lost, nearby ones seem to innervate those left behind themselves, resulting in most of them being held onto. However, because force output is based on the number and pattern of motor units that get recruited, having less of them means you have less control over your muscles. While this will eventually lead to strength loss, it also means that it'll become harder to smoothly control your force output when doing precise movements. All right, at this point, I've probably made aging sound like a fairly hopeless experience. However, you'll soon realize why that's not the case. And there's something very important that I haven't even mentioned yet. You see, while age-related muscle and strength loss is an unavoidable part of life, there is no set time frame for when that happens. More importantly, simply because your body naturally becomes less efficient as you age doesn't mean you can't still train it to improve both mentally and physically. In fact, in a recent study, a 72-year-old woman with knee osteoarthritis was able to increase her deadlift 1 rep max from 65 pounds to 220 pounds in just 1.5 years of training. All right, considering that muscle strength is generally lost at more than twice the rate of muscle mass, this becomes even more remarkable. While strength gains are very much possible even into your 70s, building muscle mass is definitely more difficult. This is simply because your body starts to become very inefficient with muscle protein synthesis, making it very difficult to increase it to a level where growth is actually noticeable. So because of this, if you're already an experienced lifter, building muscle in your late 60s and 70s is gonna be extremely challenging, but continuing to work out can help you maintain the majority of the muscle you already have. All right, so with that said, building muscle after you get into your 40s and 50s is still very much a possibility, especially if you haven't already reached your genetic potential. It's important though that you maintain a healthy lifestyle, however, as being sedentary and taking up bad habits can absolutely wreck your hormones at this age, making any physical improvements far harder than they have to be. Even if you didn't care about building muscle or strength past 40, continuing to train as though that was your goal is the best thing you could possibly do for yourself. This is perfectly explained by the well-known saying, you either use it or you lose it. If you stop challenging your body, it'll have no desire to hold on to all that strength and muscle mass that you've built over the years because it isn't being used anymore. Even worse, letting your strength and muscle mass decline will lead to all of the other dreaded problems that come with age, such as chronic pains and the inability to continue doing the activities that you love. You might remember how I mentioned that the 70-year-old woman who deadlifted 220 pounds had knee arthritis. Well, that same study assessed her knee pain before and after starting her training program, and they found that on a scale of 1 to 10, her knee arthritis pain went from a 10 before she started training to just a 2 after she completed her 220-pound deadlift. This finding is in line with most expert recommendations that lifting weights is the #1 way to reduce physical pains and aches as you age, overall contributing to a much greater quality of life. Now, if you've been training for most of your life, it's very unrealistic to expect to look better or feel stronger at 50 than you did in your 20s and your 30s. However, continuing to challenge your body is ultimately what's going to keep you feeling as great as possible, and failing to use the body you have is just going to lead to you losing it. While improvements are still absolutely possible past 40, you're ultimately training to maintain what you have. And by maintain, I don't just mean your physique and strength, but also your quality of life. After all that muscle and strength you've built is not just for vanity, it's to keep your body physically healthy and capable. Without staying physically active, all those aches and pains start to occur, and before you know it, simple daily activities start to feel like workouts. Therefore, if you still want to be able to move at 70 and 80 years old like you do now, you must continue training. You may not realize it now, but even if your training progress seems to halt or regress now, you're directly benefiting your future self. Now, it's not uncommon to have to make changes in your training and your diet as you age though. While mostly subtle changes, these changes can greatly improve your training results and your longevity in the gym. Knowing what changes to make without damaging your progress can be difficult, however. So if you want help with this, then I offer several ways that I will do this for you. I have programs for both men and women, and I also have my online one-on-one coaching program that allows me to work more specifically with you. If you want more information about any of these, then check out the description box below, and I have links to all of my programs. With that said, thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, get busy, get after it, and God bless.